We're live.
We're live. Okay. Hey guys, it's Morgan, and this is Grace. And we are here for the QuirkyWizard Liveshow. So, today we are going to be discussing Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith. And I need to mute my YouTube screen.
Well, that may be a little helpful.
Yeah. So, today we're discussing Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith. It is going to be amazing, but first I have to do some housekeeping. So, we are continuing the QuirkyWizard Live Show, obviously, and we have 2 books chosen for each month. We're going to be doing a contemporary and a fantasy novel every month. The fantasy novel will be posted on Grace's YouTube channel, which I need to link in the description, and I will after posting. And the contemporary novel will be done on my channel. Mm-hmm. So for June, the books are over here. For June, we'll be reading The Traitor's Kiss by Erin Beaty, and the live show for that will be on June 10th on Grace's channel. Let me double check that. Yes. Yeah. The live show for that will be on June 10th on Grace's channel. And then we're going to be reading Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy, and the live show for that will be on June 24th on my channel. So read those books with us. Keep your eyes peeled, and the books, titles, and authors are in the description. So you can put them in your calendars, go order them on Amazon, and get ready for that. Okay, so I think we have some viewers. Hi, new viewers!
Hello!
So I think we're about ready to begin.
Okay.
So, Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith. What is your 5-word synopsis? Go.
Interesting, weird, slow, romance, and I don't know a 5th one.
Lottery.
Lucky.
So Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith is about a girl who is in love with her best friend. And for his 18th English, am I right? For his 18th birthday, she buys him a lottery ticket, which ends up winning him $3 million.
It's more than 3 million, I think.
It's more than 3 million, but he only.
It's like 140. He wins 141 million.
He gets it, and then taxes, he gets like 50 million.
Yeah.
So he gets like $50 million, and it changes their relationship, and it's about how their relationship changes over time. Mm-hmm. My rating for this is about 3.3 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I think I gave it 3.5, maybe 4 out of 5. I don't actually remember.
Okay. So, this book is okay. Not the best, not the worst. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, now that y'all know the synopsis, I think we're ready to discuss. So, I have a thread open on my Twitter, linked in the description, and we both have threads open on our Instagrams. My Instagram is linked in the description. Her Instagram is linked in her blog, which is also in the description. So, go DM us on Instagram or comment on our Twitter posts and tell us any questions you have. Or use the live chat. But for now, let's go with our notes so far. So, one of the talking points we had wanted to do, what would we do with $1 million?
Do you want to go first?
I would probably get my parents a house with a library in it.
Nice.
So that I would have a library.
Was thinking I would pay for college.
Yeah.
And then buy myself more bookshelves, and that's about as much as I thought.
Yeah, I would get my parents the house in the country they've been wanting, and then pay for college, because I could do all of that with $1 million.
Yeah.
So that would assure me a place in
the store. Like $1 million after taxes, then yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that was surprisingly easy. So we need to talk about the diversity in this novel. Mm-hmm. Because it has some interesting diversity. So most of the characters are, I want to say that they're mostly white, but her aunt is not white.
Right, yeah.
Her aunt is not white. The main character, she is very white. She is white with white hair. Like, and I believe that the male love interest is as well.
I think so, yeah. I don't actually remember, but I think that he was.
Yeah. So, they're white. But her aunt is not white. She is Latina, I believe. Yes, Latina. Mm-hmm. And her brother cousin.
I feel
like it's like Hamlet with like her mother, aunt, and his uncle, father, uncle. I'm reading Hamlet right now.
I just call him her brother throughout the whole thing because it was just easier because he's basically a brother.
Yeah. He's gay, and they deal with that quite well.
Yeah.
So he has a boyfriend, and they actually have relationship issues along with the main character and her love interest, which we maybe should name them. Alice and Teddy.
Yeah.
They have names, not just the main character's love interest. But yeah, so they have a very interesting dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Where her brother cousin is concerned. So basically, do you want to kind of go over what the relationship issues with the brother cousin are?
With like her and him, or him and his boyfriend?
Him and his boyfriend, I'm thinking.
I mean, I guess they're basically just having what any high school turned into college romance would be. It's the one kid's a senior in high school and the one is a freshman in college. And the freshman in college moved away to go to college, so they're having to do long distance. And he's pushing for the kid to go to his college so that they can be together. But the boyfriend doesn't know that that's where he wants to go. And so it's just kind of like, you know, you're going into college, you're figuring your life out, but you don't want to make that decision just because of someone else. And it's kind of just what I would say normal long distance issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just bounced up because I actually had to scroll through the book to find the brother's cousin's name. His name is Leo. These characters are quite forgettable. They are quite forgettable.
Well, yeah. And I mean, yeah, they are. I was trying to think of a nice
with everyone, to be honest. But even him, they were all forgettable.
Yeah, that's, I mean, they're when you're reading it, they're not like, oh, what's that kid's name, or like, oh, I'm not invested. Like, it's one of those books that like while you're reading you're invested, but like as soon as you close the book you're like, I don't even know what I just read.
Yeah. It's we both like read it straight through.
Mm-hmm.
Which was maybe both a good plan and a bad plan.
Yeah.
Because it meant that we were reading it straight through and forgetting it pretty quickly. But it also meant that it was over somewhat quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this book was good, but also kind of boring.
It was good, but it was really slow. Like, thinking back on it, I'm like, there was like maybe one major thing that happened, and that was the kid winning the lottery. Like, there wasn't a major plot point at the very beginning, so it wasn't full of.
I feel like them going to the college is a major plot point, but it's written like it's not, if that makes sense. Like, in any other novel, it would have been a major plot point, but in this novel, it's written fairly.
It was just background.
Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, this is kind of a huge deal, like she's going to this college. It was like, oh, yeah, we're just gonna go here. I'm rich, so let's just take a private airplane and go.
Yeah, it kind of felt like a plot device for her and the love interest to just get to go fly away together on a weekend when they're like 17 and 18. Well, they're both 18 now, but when they're 18 years old, as an excuse for them to not have parents in control and all of that.
Yeah, so like, we're 18, we can do whatever we want.
It was very interesting, I guess.
It was good, and at the same time, it was like, okay, but like, you're still in high school.
It was like watching a cheesy romance on like Lifetime or something.
Okay, yeah.
Or
See,
not
I
Lifetime. What's the Hallmark channel? It's like watching a Hallmark
Yeah.
romance. That's what it is.
I like the other book I've read by Jennifer E. Smith better than this one.
I haven't read anything by her, so.
I read The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight, which I enjoyed a lot more than this. I liked this, but it was fairly, and the other one was also fairly, I'm like hand gesturing. The other one was also fairly just cheesy, but it had some heart to it.
Yeah, this kind of just felt like they wanted to push out a contemporary, and that's how they did it.
Yeah. I will say it does make me kind of sad because most of Jennifer E. Smith's books have matching covers, and this one doesn't match. Like,
that's the most heartbreaking part of the story is the cover doesn't match.
Like, it wasn't that good. It doesn't even match her other books.
I don't know. I like this cover. I mean, I don't have her other covers, but I kind of think that they don't all match because otherwise it looks kind of like.
I love this one. And it's published by a different publishing house, which is probably
why
most
it doesn't
of the
match.
books are published by Poppy, and this is published by Delacorte.
Okay.
So, but they're all. I love them all. I love what I've read of hers, but this one fell flat for me.
Yeah, this one. I mean, this is the only book I've read by her, but like as a contemporary, it didn't have anything that stood out as a contemporary to me because I don't read a lot of them, and so I like when they are different than what I'm expecting, and this is kind of just what I'd expect from a contemporary.
Like, it's not like Anna and the French Kiss, which is set up very well. I know you've not read that one, but it's set up pretty well.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
it's kind of cheese at times, but it has a really good, like, there's a reason for her to be in France. There's a reason. It makes sense. I'm playing with a pen. It makes sense for all of this to be a thing. This one, some of it is just kind of haphazard.
Yeah, this kind of just felt like she wanted to try and create a dynamic romance of like friends that are super close, and then she kind of just, I don't know, I don't want to say didn't flesh it out enough because it's the whole book is about them falling in love, but didn't set up enough realistic points for them to be in love.
Yeah. And it's because I have, this is, y'all can't see it, but this is my contemporary shelf. These 4 little box shelves. And most of them are books that they can be cheesy, but they make some sense. Like last night, or not last night, night before last, I finished Winning by Laura DeLoza. And that one was fairly similar. It was in the same vein as like something that makes sense. It made sense. It was a contemporary, but it made sense. And it was actually really good. If y'all have not read that one, please do. It was a last year release. It was 2016 release that never really got the hype it deserved. So if you were thinking about buying Windfall, just go buy that. It was great. Or Eliza and Her Monsters. Go buy that instead.
Oh, Eliza and Her Monsters was amazing.
Yeah.
That's a contemporary I love.
Like, if you're thinking of buying Windfall, I have about 10 books that you should buy before you buy Windfall.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like, maybe Windfall just wasn't for us. Like, it's not inherently a horrible book, or it's not written horribly.
It doesn't have anything that keeps it in your mind.
Yeah, there's not anything.
A lasting novel.
Yeah, it's not something that, like, grips your attention and makes you want to continue on. It's kind of just I offhandedly picked this up, and the writing style was easy enough that I could just fly through it. It wasn't like it's not one that you're, like, attached to in any way.
Right. I will say if you want to feel smart, this is near 500 pages. No. It's a little over 400 pages. So if you want to feel smart and you're reading a long book, read this because it's very easy to fly through.
Oh yeah, it's very. I mean, we were supposed to be buddy reading it and reading like a couple of chapters a day or whatever, and I ended up reading the whole book in one sitting because it was so good.
And then I was like, oh, I'll try to read, kind of. And then I was like, oh, I'll read it. I'll read it faster than I was gonna, but I'll still read it kind of slowly. I flew through it that night. I finished it. So it's honestly kind of hard to read this slowly.
Yeah, it is because I think it's because nothing happens, and so it's not like a slow like, oh, I can't get through this. This is such a slow scene. It's like it's so slow that like you're just waiting for something to happen. So you're like, I'll just push through another page or two.
Right? Like I'll just read more until something happens. So then once something actually happens, I'll put it down. Except nothing ever happened.
Nothing ever happened, and the thing at the end that happened wasn't even like a thing. It didn't really make sense, and it didn't really. It wasn't surprising.
Charity? I think now we've spoiled some stuff. I think now we should probably say, if you've not read this book and you don't want to be spoiled, please leave.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm about to talk about the ending, and that's a thing. But before we do that, I think we should hit our third topic, which is relationship. We're talking about the trope of friends to lovers.
Okay, yeah.
So this definitely was a friends to lovers book. Like,
oh yeah,
definitely. I am okay with friends to lovers. I prefer enemies to lovers. I think that adds more dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree. I think, but like friends to lovers or to relationships or anything can be done in like a good way. But I feel like in this instance, it was kind of just the stereotypical way.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as good.
It was very much like, I've been in love with you forever. And then it was like, oh, wait, now I'm in love with you.
And like on the girl's part, I feel like her relationship was played up way too much. Like her love for him.
It was unrealistic. It was very unrealistic.
I mean, she's been friends with this kid for, I think it was 9 years. And she's acting like all of a sudden, like, I mean, it had to be all of a sudden because you couldn't have been friends with a guy for 9 years if you're like, every time I try to talk to him, I start blushing or I'm freaking out and I'm shaking and I'm like, but if you've been friends with him for 9 years, you should at least be comfortable enough that you're not that nervous all the time.
No, it's very, very awkward.
Yeah, it was like anytime he was going to ask her a question, he was like, hey, can I talk to you about something? She would get all freaked out. And I was like, you've done this for 9 years. I'm sure he said this more than once.
I hadn't thought of it like that, but yeah.
But I mean, like, that's what I kept thinking. I was like, she's trying to make it like that when they like two people first meet and they're like really awkward and don't know how to talk. But I'm like, you've been friends since you were 9 years old. How do you not already have this relationship established to the point where you're not nervous?
Right. Yeah, that's kind of and you've had this crush for 3 years. Like it's not like he wouldn't have said this in the past.
Right. And well, and like the thing with the crush was kind of annoying in the sense that she's acting like she's suddenly realizing she's in love, and you can tell she's known because she talks about it all the time that, oh, this is how long I've loved him for and like all this, but then she acts like she didn't know that he was in love or that she was in love.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird book. A lot of it doesn't make sense. So do you have any books that you feel like that are a good version of the friends to lovers trope?
I have to look. Well, are we doing contemporaries or like fantasies or like anything or
anything? I think I'm gonna try to stick more to contemporary, but you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and stick with contemporary. I would say that like okay, hold on. Maybe I don't have one.
Wow, Grace.
Well, I don't read a lot of contemporary. I'm gonna try and keep it at okay. Well, like Eleanor and Park, kind of.
I feel like that's a little bit more of the enemies to lovers in a way.
I mean, it's more just like we first met and then we fell in love. It's not really like they've been established friends. Like established friendships to lovers that are done well, I feel like are kind of not usually.
I've not read it yet, but from the synopsis, The Geek's Guide to Unrequited Love is going to be, I mean, obviously, you have unrequited love in the title.
Yeah.
That's going to be kind of one of those friends to lovers novels.
Wait, I do have one, but it's kind of is both. It's not contemporary, but it's kind of both of them. It's kind of like enemies to friends and then friends to lovers.
Okay.
And so that's the Bloodline series. Like that, I mean, it's all about vampires and stuff, and it sounds cheesy, but like it's actually really good. And her, like who she ends up with in the book, because I won't spoil anything, she's kind of like just a human and that works for vampires and is like terrified of them. And so that's her enemy. And then she overcomes that into a friendship and establishes a friendship for like multiple books, and then it evolves into a romance. And I think it was done way better than how this was. It was like realistic and not sudden and I don't know. It was good. That would be a good example, I think.
The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli has a pretty good friends to lovers.
I haven't read it, but I have it.
You really should read it. It's great. It's great.
Well, I want to read the Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda first.
Yeah, I need to pick that up. I've not picked it up yet.
And I just knocked like half of my books over. Great.
I'm like looking at my shelves. So
I think that Bloodlines is the only series that I'm like off the top of my head can think of and be like, that's a pretty good enemies to friends, friends to lovers example.
Eliza and her monsters.
I mean, it is kind of, but I still feel like they didn't have like friendship for a long period of time before they started dating.
Like a long, determined.
Because I feel like there's that time period where it's like you're friends, but it's just so you can get to know each other before you ask each other out, and like that's kind of what that was.
Right. Yeah. Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, Levi and Cass, but
Yeah,
it's the same kind of arc that you see in Eliza and her monsters.
Yeah, but I guess theirs is slower, so it's more played out because it's like multiple. I mean, it's their entire freshman year of college, essentially.
Yeah,
So it's a time period of friendship.
Oh, hey, if my friend Erin ever watches this, you really need to read Fangirl. Please finish it. She's like been reading it for so long because contemporaries are not her genre. She's been reading it for almost a month.
Contemporary is not my genre either, but they're easy to get through.
Yeah, right? Like, okay, so Landline by Rainbow Rowell. Have you read it?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like she and her Seth, I think his name was, had the trajectory to be friends to lovers, but they weren't. But they never got there.
Yeah, they had spoiler alert, but yeah, they had that option.
There was an option, but they never got there. So I feel like that is a good illustration of it up until the end.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, and her other relationship is kind of a friends to lovers one.
Well,
done pretty.
She kind of started with a crush on him.
That's true. But I mean, like they still had like, I guess it's kind of similar to this then. I don't know.
I think that's about all that I can really think of. But those are some other books to give y'all a good idea of what we're talking about when we mean friends to lovers.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to target, and yet not a ton of books go there.
Right, or if they go there, they kind of create a love triangle and then back out of it.
Exactly. Like this did.
Exactly, except for this didn't back out of it. It just plowed through it and kept going.
You can drive in one direction or the other. And they just
like
kept on going.
Here's the because I liked the other guy better. Like I didn't think she needed to be with anyone because she was too consumed with love. But I would have preferred the other guy.
Right? Okay. Not just me. Great. Because I feel like Teddy almost had too much power over her.
Yeah, he felt not, I don't want to say like, he felt controlling, like not in a, I don't know how to put it without like sounding wrong, but like he kind of almost controlled how she made decisions, not consciously, like he wasn't doing it, but just how she felt about him and how she wanted to be with him was like affecting everything she did.
Yeah, okay.
There's like an example where they're having to build the little raft, or not the raft, like the cardboard boat for them to go for their project. And since he's won this money, he's just like not showing up to school, not doing his homework, not trying. And she just doesn't even like question about finishing it. She's just like, oh, I'm upset, but I'm not going to talk to him about it because like he'd get mad at me. And I don't want him mad at me because I love him and I want him in my life any way I can. And so I kind of felt like he's dictating what she's doing, even though he doesn't realize it.
Yeah.
It's like his fault. It's kind of her fault because she's obsessed with him in a non-normal manner. But
yeah, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. It was kind of like, I get it. I people are in that situation in life.
yeah.
But I don't like the way it was written, because it was written as if that situation was okay. Like, that was an okay way.
It wasn't, like, challenging that, like, oh, she should think about her own future and everything. And I also was kind of upset with her college decision-making. Like, I was happy that she chose where she really wanted to go and, like, realized she only wanted Stanford because of her family. But it felt like they were trying to play it into it wasn't so much her family, but she wanted to be with this guy. And so it's okay for her to go to this college so she can be with him.
Right. I wanted her to go because she wanted to be near, Leo and her aunt and uncle.
Yeah, and that's like, I mean, they kind of pulled that in, but it felt more like she really only wanted to go so she could be around Teddy.
Right. I feel like the only important relationship in this book was her and her uncle.
Oh yeah, I like that. That was the best relationship. They should have focused on that more.
Right? Okay. Not just me. Great.
It was a really dynamic and interesting relationship to like see how they went from just kind of being two people that lived in this house and interacted when they had to like realizing they've both been hurting each other by not talking about these important things and not bonding over it. And so it was great to see that.
I wish the book had just focused on that.
Yeah, or
I had just focused on that more and made that the main plot and just not did the lottery one. Like, I get it, but like,
well, I mean, they could have like included the lottery point or whatever, but like the main focus could have been on this relationship building of them, because that's what the whole point of the book was, basically building on a relationship. But like it could have focused on that more than her and Teddy.
Because I feel like her and Teddy, you could have, I mean, they threw it in so strongly at the end. It could have just been, they could have just done that, and have made the most of the novel about she and her uncle.
Because I would say over 90% of this novel just focuses around her love for Teddy and him not loving her back and her just not knowing what to do. Like, it wasn't even about her college. It wasn't about her college decisions. It wasn't about, oh, where's my life going? It wasn't about, oh, I'm doing all this charity work and this is how I feel. It was all like, oh, I was doing all this and I really liked it, but like Teddy won the lottery and I love him so much and I don't want to take money from him and all that. And it wasn't really like focusing on anything that was growing with her other than her love for him.
Seething over here. I'm like seething. It's bad. I liked it, but at the same time it was just so predictable.
I like the idea, because what I like about contemporaries is when there's like something that's like super unrealistic and then they try to make it realistic.
Right.
And it's at least kind of entertaining for me. But I feel like this took an idea that was really cool and then just pushed it aside to focus on romance.
It really did. I think the only good thing about that trip to California was that it brought her closer to her uncle in the end.
Yeah, and like that was great. But I feel like there could have been other ways that she could have gotten closer to them.
Like, but of course, she had to have this big dramatic thing in California, and that's why, like, girl, no. There's so many other ways for this plot to have happened.
And then speaking of that, the whole moment when like they get back and Teddy just starts ignoring her, and I was like, okay, first of all, if you really were her friend and you didn't feel how she thought he felt about it, then why weren't you around? Because you obviously saw how she felt in that moment and how much this was paining her and everything, and instead you just leave for like a week and a half and don't even talk to her.
Right.
Like, he didn't return text messages, phone calls. She like went to his house, I think, and he just completely like ignored her.
Yeah, I feel like that was, I've not read Twilight, but from what I've heard, I feel like that was just her way of like doing that whole countdown thing.
Yeah.
I feel like the only thing they could have done to make it more obvious is the like countdown, like 1 day, 2 days.
Well, and I feel like this was doing that whole like, we're gonna build up and the big ending is gonna be Teddy saying I love you and like his love for her and all that. But like, that wasn't the point of the book.
Big ending was the whole charity thing.
The big ending was supposed to be that, but it felt like it was like overshadowed like by Teddy's supposed love for her, and they're like realizing this and all that.
I know, it's
I don't know. I just thought it was weird.
But I think it was really random that he was like, Kenya!
I mean, I don't know. The whole book had so many random points to it that I was kind of like, I don't know where this connects in.
He was like, I never wanted to say it. And of course you knew he had to. But like, how? Like, I've watched you stare at that photograph. Okay, because it was your parents. And also, how do you know exactly where it was taken?
So many things. I don't know. It was his entire, I didn't like his character at all. Like, I mean, and I have to say, like, guys and girls, any teenager that's getting money like this is gonna spend it poorly for some portion of it, or just go crazy and buy things. But he went to such extremes that I didn't even think a real person would buy.
Right? I'm
like he flew the whole entire basketball team to Mexico for spring break and then just was like, oh, I'm gonna fly back. And I was like, why would you take a whole basketball team? And like, it was people using him and all that, but it just felt like, I don't know most people that would, A, their parents would allow that, or B, would do that.
Right. I feel like, I get he's 18, but still, you would think that that money would still go to his mom until he like got out of school.
Yeah, or like it could have been, or I mean, I could still see that he would have just gotten the money from the government and all, but like he could have easily like even just put his mom in like a nice apartment or something so she's not still sleeping on the couch for the first like third of the book.
Until he gets that old apartment fixed up. Yeah.
Like, they're living in a 1-bedroom apartment and he still stays there and sleeps in this bed and she's still sleeping on a like little pull-out couch every night. And I was like, you could like buy a hotel. Like, you're spending your money on all of these toys that you don't ever use or need.
You could buy a hotel.
You could buy a hotel or just give her a hotel room. Give her a whole entire floor. I don't care. But like, you're making your mom still sleep on the pull-out couch. And it just made me feel like he was being really like selfish, and I don't know.
You really can buy a hotel room like permanently. I'm like, yeah, just do that. Like, it shouldn't cost that much.
No, it doesn't. And like, I just felt bad for his mom because his poor mom is still like, she still wants to work at the hospital, so she's still working like night shifts and doing all these things and trying to live her life normally, and he's just over here like, let me spend everything and not give you anything. And I mean, he was doing the whole house rebuilding thing, but I don't know.
But still, I don't think that was enough. He did offer her to have her quit, and she didn't want to.
Right, but like, I mean, quitting your job is like one thing, but there was still so many options that he could have done something for his mom that he didn't do.
Right, it was annoying. Okay, so I think we should talk about, we mentioned it, but we need to talk about the jealousy and the jealous plot.
Oh, which was just another subplot to add to the romance.
Right, so like
Okay, so like maybe before we go into that, we kind of need to intro the fact that his love for her just comes out of nowhere and makes no sense in the plot at all.
Like the last few chapters, he's just like, oh wait, I love you.
Because like up until that point, he literally treated her like you would treat a sibling. It was like, oh, you're here, you're cool, like I like you sometimes I'm mad at you for no reason. It was very much a sibling kind of relationship. And he gave no indication throughout the whole book that he ever even wanted more than that or that he even thought of her in that way. And she even says it at the beginning that she's like, yeah, I know he thinks of me as like family and he would never like want to date me, but I can't help it. And then at the end, it's like a complete 180 into, oh, I do love you.
It was really annoying and confusing. It was ridiculous.
It was insane. And like that kind of leads into the jealousy thing because it reminded me of, I've only seen the movies of Twilight, but it reminded me of the whole Twilight thing where like she starts dating someone else, although I don't know if she dated Jacob in Twilight because I don't remember. But she starts dating or hanging out with someone else because in this she goes on like one date. Like she's not even dating.
And the date is so sweet.
Okay, but actually prequeling that, she cancels multiple dates with this guy that's actually nice to her, actually likes her because Teddy is around and he was like, oh, I wanted to go out to dinner tonight. And she was like, oh, well, I already have plans. And he was like, but I wanted to go to dinner with you. And she was like, oh, okay, we'll just go later. And I'm like,
yeah.
Like, that's not how plans work.
That's not how life does.
And so like then as soon as he like kind of acknowledged the fact that, oh, someone else is actually interested in her, it wasn't like jealous in the sense that like, oh, I love you or I want to be in a relationship with you, so I'm jealous of this guy's relationship. It was kind of like, you're mine and I want you to stay with me, so I'm gonna push this other guy out so that I can still have you for whatever I want, if that makes sense.
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
It was kind of, it made no sense because if you were like I could see sibling like protective nature of like, I don't know this guy, like, is this guy okay for you? I don't want him breaking your heart. But it wasn't that. It was complete jealousy of someone has something that I consider mine.
Yeah, it was not how that book should have been conducted. It was not how that trope should have been conducted.
Yeah, and I feel like they could have had the jealousy trope thing that like plays into the liking her and all that, but I guess the jealousy part is like the only indication that she kind of gave beforehand of him actually liking her, and the way she did it didn't make it seem like he liked her. It was just that she was an object of his.
I know. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. It was like so much of this book, just there wasn't a point to it.
Yeah, there was not a point to the majority of this book. And I mean, I could see it trying to be like, oh, I'm finding myself, and like within finding myself, I'm finding another person. But it wasn't really that either. It was just a tropey romance.
It was ridiculous. It just was weird. Okay, so now I'm gonna see if anyone wants to take questions.
Yeah, let's see if there's any questions before I keep rambling about the hatred of the relationship.
We have one viewer. Hi, single viewer. Comment something so we know it's not one of us.
It's not me, so.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to post on my Instagram and ask a question. We are live. Okay, so that's posted. And I'm going to make a Twitter thread. So anyone who wants to ask questions, put in the live chat. Ask us on Insta or do it on Twitter. Please. We would love your assistance in making this an awesome live show.
Yes, one more than me just talking about my hatred of everything in it. Help me find a positive from this book.
Exactly. Ask.
I'm trying to think if there was like anything overwhelming I liked about this book, because I think I don't remember if there was anything I wrote in my like review that I wrote for it that I really loved.
I got nothing.
I mean, like, I liked the relationship between her and her uncle and her aunt, and like, I liked her family relationship. I felt like her family was very close knit and very, well, they were becoming close knit, and they were very welcoming and accepting and understanding and all that, which was like a refreshing thing to see, considering the rest was not.
Oh yeah. Hey, they're not dead. Yay! Wait, they are.
But
parents are dead. Very dead.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert, her parents died. But her family relationship was good, and like that was the good growth to see. But that was about it. And like comparing it with everything else that was in the book, I don't know that I was a fan of having.
It was very much just like, oh, we need something. Have everyone die, and she lives with her aunt and uncle and brother cousin.
Yeah, it was kind of like they needed something to make this story not so boring. That's really what it was. It was, this whole story is going to focus on the romance, but we need side plots so people don't get bored, because you can't have a 400-page book about a romance that doesn't happen until the last 30 pages without it getting boring.
True.
And so that's kind of how they counteracted it.
I feel like the only contemporary, this is the first contemporary that I've read that really has the parents as far out of the situation as possible. Except for Eliza and her monsters.
That's, yeah.
Which was like, I live with my stepmom and stepdad and stepsister and half-sister. I'm only related to one of these people.
Yep. But I don't know. In this book, it was definitely that, because I consider that kind of a trope that like every YA character has their family pushed out of the way so they can do these completely unrealistic and like relationship romancy things that would never happen in real life. I do not know a person who would let me and some guy that I know fly out to California by ourselves.
Right. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like,
and I mean, like, I know that like unrealistic things are part of YA and part of all books, because like that's how books are. But like this kind of just took it to the extreme of like, how much can we push a romance without making it seem too unrealistic?
Right. Totally. It's very much like, it's weird. It's weird. And it's not like, I'm sorry, but yeah, I get it. You're fine. Y'all have known each other for so long that your aunt and uncle just don't care if you fly off to California. But they live in Chicago. California is the other side of the country.
Yeah, and
by like Florida, but California is the other side of the country.
And I mean, like, that's why they brought in her caring about college so much, so that she'd have an excuse to fly to California, because otherwise it wouldn't have worked. But even like that was kind of a flimsy excuse, because like I would have thought you would bring her family so her family can see where she might be and like see how she feels about it. Like it would make more sense.
Yeah, and it would have made more sense when she had the kind of the reaction, because you know her family would have been there.
Yeah, but instead it was kind of like it was a plot device, because it was just like, oh well, if we get the two alone and she goes back to her family home, she's gonna cry, and when she cries, he's gonna be the only one there, so he's gonna have to comfort her. And so it was kind of like forcing that on it. And
yeah, definitely. No, definitely, I agree. It was. I feel like if her actual family had gone, she wouldn't have been allowed to go to her family home, which was important character growth for her. I feel like if her family had gone, it would have made more sense, because then she and he could have like snuck out.
Yeah, well, and like if you remember, they made her uncle, when her and her uncle finally bond and like have a conversation, they talk about how they both should have gone back to the house together, because that would have been like they were the two people that were closest to them, and it would have been the best growth for both of them together, and it would have been a good way for them to heal. And instead she goes with Teddy, and so then it's just like, oh, Teddy doesn't really understand what's happening. So
yeah.
he just stands there, and then she starts crying, and then he just like hugs her and like tries to comfort her, and then doesn't talk to her.
Would have made some more sense with the uncle it
would have made more sense. You can go.
Oh, you're fine. I think with the delay, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wait, no, we're both talking now. It's you go, and then I'll say.
Okay, well, it would have like made more sense with her uncle to go, because then she wouldn't have been kind of portrayed as this super fragile character that then like kind of gets pushed through the rest of the book, because like she even comments on like as soon as she breaks down after that, Teddy just treats her like a doll that he's afraid is gonna break, and like every time she looks sad or looks too closely at something, he jumps in to push her away from it and
Right.
all of that. And like it kind of created like a situation where it seemed like she had to have him in order to be okay, which isn't true in any sense at all, and didn't even like go along with the story. But it was like pushed in so that it would make more sense for him to be there and for him and her to end up together, because she needs him to be okay.
I feel like what would have made the most sense personally is her entire family, like at least her aunt and uncle, went to California, or at least her uncle went to California,
or at least her brother cousin coming too.
Yeah. Her uncle was uncomfortable going to the house, so he told her she couldn't go. So she and Teddy sneak out and go, and that's why he is so remorseful. Her uncle is so remorseful.
Yeah, like that would have made more sense.
Yeah.
But like instead, even the conversation with her and her uncle didn't really. I mean, I liked it because it showed growth and it showed this relationship bonding, but it didn't make sense at the beginning.
No.
Because like, at the beginning when he starts this conversation, it was very much like, I don't want to talk about this because I'm still very closed off, but I heard you were crying and Teddy doesn't know how to handle you, so I have to fix this for him.
Oh God, it was that. Oh.
It came off very much like it felt like everyone was revolving around Teddy.
Your boyfriend doesn't know how to deal with you, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, and then I mean, like, good came out of the conversation. Like, they bonded. They realized, oh, we've both been closed off and we need to open ourselves up to the family more. But at the same time, it was kind of just like Teddy got freaked out, didn't know what to do, called me, and now I have to fix this so he's okay.
Right? Can someone please put something in the group chat? Please.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any questions from Instagram yet.
Live chat.
It's not
because right now it's Steam, because this book doesn't have a ton of stuff we can talk about other than getting mad.
There's nothing to talk about because nothing happens.
Here, let me go on and write any questions.
Which is so sad because you'd think there'd be something that I could talk about for like an hour on in a 400-page book, but there isn't, other than how much I hated it.
So bad. But it's I just put out the chat. Any questions? Please.
Questions. Hey.
No one is. To our single viewer. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna close. Is the single viewer me? The single viewer is not me. I'm not the viewer. Yay!
Well, hi viewers. Thank you for sticking with us and our rambling of nothing.
In our rambling hatred of nothing. I'm like, what are we talking about? So,
to find more things to talk about.
Okay, so let's talk about. I thought you were going to tell me something to talk about. I feel like this is exactly how it's going to be in post, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be painful. No questions yet. Okay, so I think it's about time to close up the live chat or the live stream.
Yeah, that sounds good because I don't have any questions. And
we have 0 we have 1 viewer now. We had 0 viewers and now we have 1 viewer.
The only things that I could add, like if we don't have questions, is me talking about more hatred things about Teddy and more flaws that I have about his character.
What was so bad? Oh my God, you guys!
I gave it 3 stars and I'm still like, I shouldn't, like now I'm like looking back and I'm like, wow, this is not a 3-star book.
There was nothing redeemable about it, except for her uncle relationship, and even that was kind of weird.
Even that, I'm now just like, it was redeemable, but like, if that's the only thing that this book had going for it, that's kind of sad.
So, in finishing, it was okay. Inspiration, it was cool. It wasn't that good, but it was okay.
Yeah. In finishing, it was a read that I would suggest to people who are wanting to become authors and want to like see how to avoid doing bad tropes.
I feel like I would recommend this to people who want something happy.
But it's not that happy.
I would recommend this to people who want to cry while laughing at how bad the book is.
It was kind of like, I mean, it was like a Hallmark movie. It's like you're sitting here and you're like, none of this makes sense, but like you're invested because you're already watching and you just don't want to change this.
Like, that's what I have to see if Susan ends up with Mike or Dean.
I mean, it's kind of sad when you're honestly like, she can pick either guy at this point, and I'm going to be like, that's fine. I don't really care. Or she could end up with no one. And I'm like, okay, sure, do what you want. Like, there wasn't any like redeemability or anything that kind of kept you wanting to read or invested in the relationships.
Because it wasn't like, oh, I'm super into this because it's a good book. It was like, I'm super into this and I don't really care about the ending, but I have to keep reading because Kenya. Like, she has to get to Kenya.
This is like, I feel like this is a book that you read after a breakup when you're eating ice cream and you don't know what to do with your life. And you're just like, I need something to get me through this moment. And you're like, I'll read this really sad, depressing book that ends up well. And then I'll be happy too. And then you don't really like think about all of the points in the book and the negatives. And you're just kind of like, okay, well, that got me out of this depressing nature I'm in. I'm feeling better.
Yeah, this book is a 2-star read. The more that I talk about it.
The more I talk about it, I'm like, I'm going to have to go change my rating on Goodreads now.
Like, this was disappointing.
It was,
but also, it's like candy. It's bad for you. It's ridiculous. But, like, you gotta keep reading. You don't even care what it tastes like. It's candy.
yeah, I would suggest, like, if you've started reading it, like, read it all the way through and see if you find anything that's, like, redeemable or good for you. Because, I mean, each person thinks of it differently, but, like, I can't think of any positives from this book. And it makes me mad because you'd think thered be, like, redeemability in something, but it was just pretty bad. I don't know.
It was just kind of,
This live show went from us giving it 3 to 3.5 stars and like, oh, it's not that bad to, wow, this was horrible really quick.
Oh, how the tables have turned. So yeah, if you guys thought this book was not horrible, let us know.
Yeah, I want to hear from someone that actually enjoyed this.
We have 2 viewers now. Yay.
Yay. But like, I'm seriously like thinking hard here about trying to find a positive.
Like, okay, what was good? Again, I feel like the relationship with her family was good, but it wasn't good enough.
The relationship is good, but it's not enough to make the story. Because like, there's those stories that have bad plots but good characters that you love, or good plot, bad characters, and you're still like, oh, like that makes up for all of this negative things that I don't like. But like the relationship with the family was such a side plot that is barely even mentioned, except for there's probably maybe 30 pages throughout the whole book.
Okay, we have something in the live chat.
We do?
Coming to say hi to Grace. I haven't read the book.
Hi! I don't know who you are because I can't see the live chat.
Jaden Morello.
Jaden, hi! He's the guy that made me the custom candle that's sitting right here. You can see it. Hi, Jaden. Yeah, don't read the book, Jaden. It sucks.
In summary, don't read
it. It's not a very good book. I don't know. I can't think of a positive, so, you know, don't read it.
But
unless you want to.
Do you have a question for us? The candle. Ah!
Wait, what? Oh, did he say the candle? I can pull it out. Hold on.
Candle.
Let me scribble in my chair here. Yeah, he made me a little candle, and it has, I can't see my thing because it's delayed, but it has my Instagram handle and my blog on it. And then it's like, it's so good.
Novel Heartbeat.
Yeah, it's Novel Heartbeat. It's so good. It's white with like red glitter. That's the word. And it's so, oh my gosh, it's so good. I love it. I burned it for the first time today.
Question mark, exclamation point. It's so bad. The book is so bad. Like it's okay, but at the same time, it's just.
I mean, it's
there's a whole art movie. There's things you can find in this book that are literally everywhere else.
It's okay if you don't think about the book.
It's redundant.
It's like when you are in class and you're like sitting there and you're like, oh, this class isn't that bad, and then you go home and think about it and you're like, I didn't learn anything today. That was kind of a waste of my time.
I'm stuffing my face with pizza while watching. Good to
know. I'm so jealous, Jaden. I love pizza. I don't have pizza. I need to go get some. But
yeah. You're like, oh, pizza, squirrel.
I love pizza. I have a sweatshirt on my floor right now that has pizza, like a picture of pizza on it.
Yes. Just yes. So I keep getting Twitter notifications of tweets that other people are tweeting, but not at me. So
yeah, I don't have any questions or comments to add that I haven't already stated, unless you want me to continue talking about how much I hate the love interest, because I can't.
The book has a nice cover, question mark. That's positive, question mark, LOL.
That's true. I mean, this is pretty. Like, this is a good positive. It's pretty. It doesn't represent
Get it to put on your shelf. Get it to read after a breakup. Other than that,
I mean, I don't even feel like the cover represents the book, because the cover is so bright and cheerful looking, and then you open the book and it's just this depressing story about a girl who's in love with a guy and doesn't know how to do anything without him.
Moral of the story, buy it for the cover.
Or just go find a dust jacket and print up a dust jacket, think of it, and just put that on your shelf.
Put that on another craft book.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Okay, so time for the ending housekeeping. For those of you who were not here in the beginning, we are QuirkyWizard Liveshow. We have 2 books a month. We have a Where's Your Resand candle.
No. It's right here. Hold on. Jaden. I'm guessing that was Jaden still.
Yeah.
There's
don't know, she doesn't have the live chat open.
Yeah, I don't have the live chat because it would add a viewer to it, and I'm too lazy for that. But yeah, here it is. It's really pretty, and I like it. Oh, I was going to show you the center, and then I forgot. And it's also sparkly.
Hey, glitter, glitter. You just get all the glitter candles, don't you?
I think those are the only 2 that have glitter. But yeah, I mean,
but I have a Levi's pumpkin Uncle Brother. Candle. I ate my pizza. I ate all my pizza. Now I'm sad.
Well, Jaden, do you have any questions about the book, even though you haven't read it? Like, anything you want us to tell you, since you're the only one here?
There's one other viewer, but they're not.
Oh, hello, other viewer.
Hi, Jaden, another human being.
Because, yeah, I don't really have much that I can talk about. Well, I could talk about a lot of things that I hated about the book, but that's not positive.
I can discuss all of my negative views. Why didn't you like it?
Well, there's a lot of reasons why I didn't like it.
Got here at the end of the live stream.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back and like watch my feelings on why we disliked it, but like the overviewing thing is that the whole book just focuses on a romance that doesn't make sense and doesn't really have anything to do with anything at all. And
that could have been resolved within like 10 pages.
Yeah, it could have been resolved really quickly, and it kind of just focused on
the card. If he had just gotten the card.
Yeah, well, I feel like even if he had read the card, that could have been a whole nother storyline that would have created something at least more entertaining. But
Since
like,
I'm still hungry, I'm about to make cookies.
Jaden, how do you have time to make so much food? Like, I'm always so jealous. You send me food all the time, like photos, and I don't know how you have time for this.
Okay, so time for housekeeping.
Yeah.
We're done talking about this. Before we start screaming curse words, we're done talking about this book.
That's true.
So, housekeeping. This has been the Quirky Wizard live show. This is only our second live show, so keep watching because they will be more and they will get better.
Yes, next one is on my channel.
We have 2 videos a month, 2 live shows a month, 2 novels a month, a fantasy and a contemporary. Fantasies happen on Grace's channel and contemporaries happen on mine. Grace's channel will be linked in the description once this video is posted. Yeah. The fantasy novel for June is The Traitor's Kiss by Erin Beaty. This is, from what I can tell, Jane Austen with swords. If you guys know me, you know that I'm a Jane Austen nerd, so Jane Austen with swords is perfect. We will be doing the live show for this on June 10th on Grace's channel, which again will be linked in the description. The book for the other half of June is Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy. We will be doing the live show for this on June 24th on my channel at noon Central or 1. What is your time zone? 1 EST or noon Central. Come join us for both or one of the other. So yeah, thanks for watching and bye. I'm a blogger.